everyone, my name is Gimmie. I'm here today with a simple goal to help you in the world of color and DaVinci Resolve. In today's episode, we're going to go over changing the color of the background. The client has decided that they don't like what was originally shot, and they want to change it to something that looks a little bit better. You can see here in our image, the background has this sort of mustard yellow wall and pillow. This doesn't fit too well with the purple and red color scheme of the woman's clothing. We're going to change it to something that fits better. So the first thing I'm going to do is create 3 nodes with Option plus S. 1, 2, 3. The first node, I like to leave it alone and use it if I need some noise reduction. The second node is for exposure changes. The third node is for basic color correction and balancing. And the last node is going to be for the actual color change of the wall and the pillow, or anything else. Starting with the third node on the line, we're going to do a basic balance. Looking at our scopes, we can see that we're a little high in the reds and lower in the blues, so we're going to do a balance to get those a bit more even and on the same level. Then in the lows, it's sort of the same, but the opposite, where the blues are extremely low and the reds are a little bit higher, so we're going to do a little balancing here as well. Then we're going to come over to our exposure levels on our second node and raise up the highs to get them much higher and closer to pure white. We're also going to bring down the lows a little bit to get them just barely touching absolute black or 0. But now you can see that our highs have gone a little bit over to the blue side, so let's do another balance here to get them back to an even level. Looking at our midtones, it seems like we're a bit warm, so let's throw it in the opposite direction away from the reds a little bit to balance it out. There we go. That looks pretty good as far as levels go, but she looks a little dark, so I'm going to bump up the mids overall just to give her some more life. Okay, that looks good as well. She looks a little bit ghostly though in the skin, so I'm going to come over to the midtones and add just a tiny bit of red to give her blood in her skin. Okay, that looks pretty good for a general correction. Here we have a before and an after. Before and an after. Looking at it again, it's still a little bit high in the blues, so what I'm going to do is kind of level this out a tiny bit more. There we go. That looks pretty good. Before and after. Now moving on, we're going to have our fourth node here, which is going to be the isolation of the mustard yellow that we have in the background. What I'm going to do is make sure that I have my HSL qualifier selected, and we're going to select areas here in the back. Make sure you have your main picker selected, as opposed to the plus or the minus or the feather. Let's select some areas and hit Shift plus H, so we can see our selected areas. Now to add to our selection, let's select our plus qualifier. Now we can see our pillow still needs a little bit more work, so let's add some there. We can see here that we need to clean up our whites, and if we zoom in really far, we can see these little dots here with missing information. So we're going to pick our clean white and clean it up and smooth out those areas. Now what I like to do is put a small amount of blur radius and a small amount of in and out ratio. What this does is blend the areas of the original image and what you've changed to make them match and blend a little bit better together. Zooming in, you can see those squares become kind of blurry blobs. Now that we have that selected, we can see here we have a tiny bit of her face selected in with the glasses, as well as a reflection in the background of the shiny fireplace. What we're going to do is come over to our power windows. We lucked out with this shot because it's static and the camera never moves. We can put a power window on and get the section of the clip we actually want, instead of all the other parts that we don't need. If the camera were to move in this shot, we can motion track the power window, but since it doesn't, it makes our job easier. Okay, now that that's selected and we have our area defined, what we can do here is come down and make sure we have our primary selected instead of the logs, and we can select our hue. The client was saying he wanted more of a maroon or a dark red to fall in line with what the woman was wearing. If I change my hue, we can see here it goes across the entire rainbow. We want to pick something that's more red, like this hot pink. Now, this isn't going to look good at all. It's too hot, too bright, and too energetic. So we can bring our gain down to darken it, make it closer to a maroon. It still stands out a bit more than I would like, so I'm going to decrease the saturation down to 35. Now we can see here in the background that what we have is more of a dark maroon, which falls in line with what the woman is wearing. This is aesthetically much more pleasing to the eye. You can see here the before, which has the yellow, and after, with the maroon. This overall makes the shot much easier to watch and focus on what the woman is saying, rather than having distracting colors in the background taking away from what we want the viewer to be paying attention to, which is what she's saying. That wraps up today's video, and I hope I was able to teach you something. If you have any questions, feel free to ask down in the comments section so I see them. Giving this video a like is always appreciated, and consider subscribing. And until the next video, have a great day.